call this regular meeting to order. Trustee Surkey is attending via video conference due to a possible contagious illness. Board action is required to approve the request of Trustee Surkey to attend the meeting pursuant to Assembly Bill 2449. Can I get a motion to approve Trustee Surkey's request to attend the meeting pursuant to Assembly Bill 2449?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, or roll, Brian?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Shally?
Yes.
That's two. So 5-0 for that.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. Trustee Taddeo is out of town and attending via video conference. A recording and/or broadcast of this meeting is being made at the direction of the board, which may capture images and sounds of those attending. Call the roll. Brian.
Present.
Vladimir.
Present.
Shally.
Present.
Steve.
Here.
All right, and I am here, so you got all of us. Let's get up to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get any board member want to provide comment on the agenda? If not, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll here. Brian?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Shally?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Moving on to closed session report. There is nothing to report from closed session. On to the consent calendar. Anybody want to provide comment on the consent calendar? Can I get a motion?
Sorry, superintendent update.
Oh, I am so sorry.
That's okay. I was actually going to say, since I have a back to school update for you, I'll just save my comment for that.
I was just chugging along. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Be out of here early.
Yeah.
This meeting is being recorded.
And on to consent calendar. Does anybody have any comments on the consent calendar? Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor, Brian?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Shally?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Consent calendar passes. On to employee requests to address the board. Mr. Hazelton.
Oh, hello, everyone. We're back again.
Don't they elect a new?
Wow.
My term is 2 years. And this year I'm also taking on the role of our PAC chair. And one of the things we're going to be discussing tonight is the parcel tax. And LETA is very excited to support this measure, and I'm going to be speaking to the teachers at our general meeting on Monday about ways that they can support the parcel tax, be that phone banking or precinct walking, because we really want to show that it's important. And one of the things that I appreciate about the messaging the district has already been sending out is linking the parcel tax to retaining and attracting high quality educators to LASD, amongst other things. But it's something that I'm really excited to get to support. And as PAC chair, it's a little bit easier for me to do that in addition to my role as LASD president. I think I'm going to leave it at that for tonight, and we'll talk about back to school at the next board meeting. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have anybody from the staff union? Nope.
We're starting slowly.
Okay. All right. So to provide public comment for those attending in person, speaker cards are to be submitted to the superintendent. Speaker cards will not be accepted once public comment begins. Your name will be announced when it's your turn to speak. For those attending via video conference, use the raise hand button if using the Zoom app, or press *9 if using your phone. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. Prior to providing your comment, please be sure your microphone is on. Requests received after public comment begins will not be accepted. So moving on to community comments. Do we have anybody who wants to speak up about non-agendized items? That doesn't look like we do. Moving on to action discussion items, the 2023 school preparation.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do it from up here, and then we'll have Eric come up at some point up here too, but wanted to give you just a glimpse into the work that's been happening over summer. Of course, our schools close a bit after school gets out, but the district office remains open and mostly fully staffed with lots of exciting things happening. So tonight you'll see just some tidbit of these items, and then I think either in the next or the following, the curriculum instruction folks will come in to talk about the summer learning, so I did not include that up here. But wanted to just give you a quick glimpse into what enrollment has been looking like. You know, there's our friend Bridget, who does a tremendous job as a registrar for our district. She has been incredibly busy this summer. Today alone, I think by the end of the day, in the last hour, she enrolled 5 kids. So you can see where we were as of 8/3 at 3427. You can see where we were back in June. So we certainly have seen an increase. Right now it is plus and minus every single day. We've sent out the info snap to families, which is the emergency contact information and update that we ask our parents to do every single year to make sure everything is up to date. So from that, we sometimes get folks who have moved out of the area over summer and just haven't notified us. So those numbers, I'm sure Elena is getting those contacts as well, but those numbers change every single day. So we will see where we land at the opening of school. I'm hoping to hit at minimum 3,400, which would be great. And of course, I know you all know this, but we increased by 2 TK classes. Our 6 TK classes are looking great, somewhere between 17 and 23 kids per class. So we are excited to have that expanded program. We wish it came with more state funding to support that program, but it's going to be great for the 4-year-olds within our community. A little update, this was also as of Thursday or Friday. We've hired a small number of new hires, 14 positions, including 2 new principals, 1 new school psychologist, and then a handful of teachers and speech language pathologists, which I need some speech support right there. So it was great last week. We welcomed back. I know most of you were able to come to our new teacher welcome, but we welcomed our new certificated folks. And then we are still in the process of hiring for our classified support open positions. We've hired already 9 positions. We had 2 offers out as of last Friday. In a wide variety of classified roles, and which are so critical to the smooth running of our campuses, our classrooms. But wanted to make sure you remember that all of those new hires are just people we've already budgeted for. We are trying to be very mindful about right-sizing our staffing. So that was rehiring through attrition spots. Eric, you want to come up and talk a little bit about your summer projects?
Sure. So last spring, we had a contract with Best Electric. They did a lot of classroom lighting replacements at Block School, Allman, and Springer. And then we also found some very cost-effective approach to replace the lighting to actually reduce some repairs. So we think we can kind of pause some classroom lighting replacements to do some repairs. Or in one of our classrooms, we did a test classroom, Lisa Schubert's room, the kindergarten teacher over at Roman. We actually were able to bypass the valves and install LED tubes, which are also energy efficient. So we feel that's going to be a good cost-effective approach for us moving forward in the short term. And then in the long term, we can do some other lighting replacements. Here we go. Also, safety. Every summer, we're always looking for safety items. This is the kind of the drop-off area in front of Loyola School. And really got from Richard Julian. His parents are always in a hurry to drop their kids out of school, and we wanted to help support a little more safety around the campus. So we were able to install some speed bumps, really going all around the whole bus circle, and we feel that'll be much safer for drop off in the morning for parents and for pickup. And then on the right side, a lot of trip hazards are identified over the year. We mark them off, and then we make some concrete repairs. Sometimes we could do some grinding of the concrete to make it the uneven parts a little bit more even. And this is over at Egan School, some concrete replacements and one of the back of the campus. And the last thing, you know, I really enjoy talking to our classified staff. It's a lot of staff are working, teachers are working in professional development over the year. But a lot of the classified staff work 12 months around. Our groundskeepers, I have a nice picture of Lino and Lewis on the tractors, and they did a lot of great work. They actually created this this kind of apparatus that they pull behind the tractor, and they put planter mix, and it actually levels the fields out and lowers all the low spots, get leveled out, and it helps reduce really trips and like uneven surfaces. When kids are out there playing on the fields, the grass is much more level, it's softer, then they reseed it. And this is over at Santa Rita, and it looks like the Giant Stadium. It looks so pretty over there. But I got all emotional. That's great. But you know, just another testament to our hardworking staff. They really work very hard all year round. And this is a nice project that we could do in-house instead of contract out. We do it in-house with their own staff, and they're very proud of their work, and it shows on what they do. So just a quick overview of a couple of projects for our staff. And then the last one is over. Sorry, one more slide. Last March, we had a tree land on one of the classroom buildings in front of room 4. And so in order to get the repair done, we had to go to the Division of State Architect to make sure a structural engineer looked at the repair. DSA has finally approved the repair. So we'll be reaching out to some of our contractors, trying to find a time to squeeze that in. There is some structural roofing that has to be done, and then a lot of interior repairs. And we're going to try to minimize any disruptions on the campus, and it'll be very careful working around students on an active campus. But DSA did try to do some code requirement changes. So we'll have to do some out in the parking lot. We have to make some new striping and drop off areas striped a little bit differently. But other than that, those are just some high level highlights, and Sandra can kind of finish off.
Yep, I've got one more. This was an exciting, unexpected. So our fantastic Mandarin teacher, Chia Ling over at Egan, contacted us over summer and said that one of her friends who works for Shanghai High School at the international division in China, that they were on a tour of the United States, and they were looking at mostly college level areas. They visited Columbia University, they went to Stanford. I don't really feel like there was maybe Harvard or Yale, one of the other, and they wanted one K-8 district, because even though they are called Shanghai High School, they're actually a K-12 system. And so they wanted one elementary district to come and visit, and they had done some Googling and some searching and found us. So Mr. Drummond and team hosted 25 folks from Shanghai, spent a day here. We talked a lot about our pedagogy, what we believe, and how we teach students and all students. And I believe they walked through some of the classrooms over at Covington, because we met them here centrally. Sadly, I was on vacation, but I would really have loved to have been here for this visit. But it was great to learn from others and to help spread the great work that we do for students in LASD as well. I think that was my last slide.
Anybody have questions for Sandra or Eric on this? Shally or Steve? No? That was great. Thank you so much for that update. Lots of great work. I'm really excited about those fields too. And honestly, it shows like that they built this contraption. It's like lifelong learners, right? Like they're like, okay, I've got a problem. I'm gonna fix it and I'm gonna make something. It's amazing. I love it.
It's really great.
All right, on to the state budget. So much more exciting than the entire subject.
Yes. Always. So as you know, our district and all public districts have to adopt our budget before the state even adopts their budget. So you're sometimes you're hoping something will happen at the last minute, and we're very fortunate there was some good news this year. Not all good news, but mostly some good news for the district. One of the things that was very interesting last year at the governor's January proposal was the one-time art music discretionary block grant, proposing to cut it all, reduce it all, and then they revised, it was still a large reduction. So things that happened really didn't happen. So it was very hard for many school districts to really kind of guess what's going to happen. And really it's the politics of the state of California going back and forth between the governor and the legislature. So we do have very limited state funding. If you look, this is a pie chart that is in our budget documents, but the bulk of our revenue is from property tax and parcel taxes. We do receive some state revenue. It's mostly categoricals. And we do a little of the guaranteed state aid, but not a ton, very small percent of lottery. I remember years and years ago when they thought the lottery was going to be the great help to all school districts. Most school districts, we do receive some lottery funds, but not really as much as people would think. And this is kind of a snapshot that's in our budget document where the revenue comes from for our district. So state revenues have softened. The state is very concerned that their budget is a little bit more aggressive than people would like to see. Home sales have slowed down across the state and at the local level. California is a declining enrollment state as people are leaving, moving out. Home sales has really slowed down. And a lot of that is really from the high inflation rates. The interest rates have been increased. The Fed just raised it again a week and a half ago. So we're hoping that they will not ratchet them up again because the fears would be triggering a possible recession. There was no relief for increased pension rates. So our CalPERS rates for classified employees are going up every year. They'll be going up 1% or 2% the next few years. And there was no relief a few years ago. The state did do a one-time buyback and buy down for school districts. That was not included in this year's budget. No additional funds that Sandra mentioned to help with future staffing for transitional kindergarten and universal meals. So two of these kind of really not funded mandates from the state. As a basic aid school district, we do not receive any extra money for those programs. However, there was some good news. The one-time discretionary block grants were mostly restored. Some reductions, one of them was about 14%, the other one was 5.6%. So we'll talk about those in a little bit more detail. Some impacts on LASD. So when the state, you hear the word COLA, the cost of living adjustment. And from the May revise, it was 8.2%. We included that in our budget. So it was included in the budget. But that COLA really doesn't give us extra money from the state. Very little money we get from the state, but it does increase the transfer to the charter school. So for BCS, it increased our charter school transfer to up to 10.7 million in our adopted budget. So that's an increase of almost $1 million from last year to this current year. As a basic aid school district, we get a small COLA for special ed. So you can see the special ed rates from last year was from 820 to 887. And then the mandated block grant is from $34 to $37. So very small nominal increases. And there's not a big percentage of revenue for the district. Prop 28, which we've been talking about. Nobody still knows about Prop 28. We will know the allocation though. We know we're going to get $385,000 and we're going to allocate those funds to help increase computer science in our schools, which we think is a great use of those funds, to help expand computer science, offer to more kids. This is ongoing funding that we'll receive every year, and it will go up and down based on our enrollment because it's funded per ADA. So here's the reduction of the one-time grants. So last year, we received 1.1 was going to be our allocation. We actually will not receive that much. So that the learning recovery block grant was reduced by 14%. So we will receive about 948 total, 948,000 total. We only spent 725 because I remember last year in the board meeting I said, I promise you we will not spend we will only spend what we've received. It was that we were very, very cautious and very conservative with state funding because we knew this was on the chopping block. Really all year it was talked about ongoing. So our balance to start this year off will be 223,000. We received the full allocation of this amount of money. So we didn't spend it all. So we have that money actually in the bank. The other grant though is a very interesting one. The art music discretionary block grant. That was 2.1, that was reduced by 5.6%. We only received $1 million, so we will have another apportionment coming to the district. Now, we do not include these in our budget because we were in May and in January and in May, we were hearing we weren't going to get anything else. So most school districts do not include these funds in their budgets. Once we receive the apportionment, we will adjust our budget. Most likely we'll receive the funds, we think September or October, and we'll adjust it at first interim in December. And then using these funds is pretty important for us. We were able to last year use some of the one-time funds to pay for one-time expenses like technology, some of our server reconstruction, and that helps freeze up dollars to help with salary increases. So we're very fortunate to get some of this money restored back in our budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The Prop 28, which I mentioned before, this is actually a law passed last November, and the state has told us we're going to give you $385,000, and you have to. There are certain rules and regulations and audit guidelines. Unfortunately, the audit guidelines will not be out till next March, so we're not sure when we're going to be able to have those funds, and we also don't even know when we're going to receive the funds. But it is an ongoing source of funding. We are going to use it for computer science education. We think it's a great use of these funds. There's a lot of reporting guidelines and things that we have to be, adhere to. So we'll have to be watching that. One of the things I talked about is really in the middle. It talks about audit procedures will not be available until next March, and we also don't even know when we'll receive the funds. We might not receive the funds until next spring. So once we know when we'll receive the funds, then we'll be able to code certain salaries for these positions, and it'll help save our general fund. So these are good dollars. It will help promote computer science at some of our school sites. Transitional kindergarten, which Sandra mentioned earlier, and I highlighted just 23, 24, just so you know how the rollout is happening. So this year it's 4-year-olds who turn 5 between September 2nd and April 2nd. That is a group that can come to our schools. Then next year it gets younger and younger. Starting in 25, 26, the new state budget requires an average TK staffing ratio of 20:2. And with the intent to appropriate funds to a lower ratio. However, always be careful of that word intent, that the legislature sometimes the intent doesn't really end up into action. And then as a basic aid school district, we will most likely not receive any additional funds for this ratio. So as TK starts rolling out and they have a higher staffing ratio, we're going to have to be creative in how we can get those classrooms staffed. Because that will impact our staffing levels. So all good news for TK and getting more kids involved in our schools, but there is a cost to that as well. And some next steps, we'll be presenting our unaudited actuals to the board on September 5th, which will be in another month away. We'll be working on revising our multi-year expenditure plan on the use of ELOP funds, Prop 28, and one-time grants. And then the biggest thing that has really been our really what we're looking at are efficiencies, right-sizing staffing. We're looking at our custodial staffing the other day about how we had one-time COVID money that we're able to hire additional staff for all the testing and all the things we're doing. Well, now that the COVID funds have gone away, we need to get back to right-sizing our staffing. So these are all critical things as we look into our things. And by right-sizing staffing, it'll help us with some of our operational deficits a little bit. So here to answer any questions. Not a lot of huge highlights, but some good news, reasonable good news for the state from the state government this year.
All right, any clarifying questions for Eric? Any public comment on this? Doesn't seem to be. All right, any board comments? Brian, Mayor, comment.
Just one comment. I would expect that the Prop 28, the 385,000, could also be a deferral. So we would never actually receive it this year, and the state would owe it to us. So I think
that's correct. And then you also have a certain timeline. You have to spend it, I believe, until 20. You have to spend by 25, 26.
Shelley or Steve, any comments? I just have one quick question, comment, as it relates to Prop 28, we're saying it's arts, music are all in the title, and we're saying computer science. So I want to, can you explain that to me?
Sure.
Yeah, I will explain that. So if you read into the language, so that's like the headline, but it's actually quite broad of
Okay.
what it can cover: media arts, coding, art, traditional arts and music. So we've really been looking at what are our needs and how might we be creative in our use.
All right, thank you. That explained that for me. So this is a discussion item. Moving on now to public hearing regarding the proposed educational parcel tax. I don't have to say that, right? All right, public hearing is now open. If anyone would like to provide public comment on this item, please share a speaker card, use the raise hand button, or press *9 on your phone. All right.
Excellent. So we'll do the slide deck
Yes.
and then public comment.
Yes.
Just so I'm doing correct. So
Yeah.
Tonight for your next item, you have a resolution that's coming to you after months of talk and study. And tonight I really wanted to give you and the public an opportunity to look at our teacher retention and academic excellence local funding measure. So in order to get on the ballot, we are allowed a 75-word question. I do think it's very odd that it's in the form of a question, but it is in the form of a question. So here is the actual text that we're considering for the ballot, and I'll go into some details of it. It reads a little ballot-y. But why are we doing it, right? We are doing it, as Chris said earlier, we know we need to do work around attracting and retaining teachers. The landscape has changed. Our neighboring districts have increased salary greatly. We continue to be paying lower than most of our neighboring school districts. There are not as many teachers coming out of teacher preparation programs, so we need to make sure that we remain competitive to get those great, highly qualified teachers, because I know you all know this, that teachers are really the soul of our schools, and we want to make sure that our staff is well paid. In addition, we want to make sure that we have the funds to be able to continue our great programs in our core subjects and beyond. Our students all really benefit from a great LASD learning experience, and we want to be able to continue that. And of course, our community has told us loud and clear that they love our high quality neighborhood schools. They value the schools, whether their kids are going there or not, but they really value their neighborhood schools. So that's something we want to make sure we have funding to continue. You've been talking about a potential parcel tax for several months now. Last spring, we did some surveying of the community. You can see here the 3 different mailers that have gone out. We've been doing in-person and online outreach to a variety of folks within our community to make sure that we have the right message, the right numbers, all of those pieces. So you've been doing a lot of due diligence, and we appreciate our community feedback. And last time, I'll remind you that we changed course around looking at an evergreen parcel tax to hearing from the community going to an 8-year expiration date. So we are listening to the community, which is great. So the features, it will now expire. This is according to the resolution you have in front of you. In the next item, will expire after 8 years. It includes an annual 4% adjustment. Looking at what that means for the public, for the people who own a parcel within our community, those first few years, it's a $12 yearly increase. And by year 8, it's up to a $15 increase in that last year 8. Of course, our senior citizens are exempt, remain exempt. We want it to be simple for them to continue their exemptions if they currently have that in place. And then that would also extend to folks who qualify as low income or people with disabilities, that they too will be exempt if they choose from paying the parcel tax. And as always, we have our great independent citizens oversight group. Our CACF group, who does their yearly parcel tax report card to the community. We make sure that the funds are not used for administrator salaries and that they stay local for our schools only. Dates we have tonight. You are considering adopting the resolution. From there, if we move forward, we need to get our resolution to the registrar of voters and do a few different things along the way on August 9th. There will be an argument that's due on the 15th, a rebuttal should we need one on the 22nd. Ballots go out on October 9th. This would be a mail-only campaign. And then election day is on November 7th. So between October 9th and November 7th, we will, see what the community, see their great support for their local public schools. That's what we will see. I think that is my last slide. Oh, did you want to take a picture of that, Chris?
All right. All right. So we have, do we have any clarifying questions from the board? Yes.
The approval threshold required for this would be?
It is 2/3, so 66.7%.
2/3 of voters voting.
Those voting.
Those votes that come in, yes.
Yes, 66.7%.
I have a question about low income. How is that defined?
I believe they qualify for.
No, it's qualifying for SSI or SSDI,
Correct.
or the senior. We have the senior
State qualification.
It's
For low income.
But it is. She's using the term low income,
Yes.
but what is in this measure or the resolution is. There's an exemption for those that qualify for SSI, Social Security Insurance, thank you, or SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. So it's however that federal government defines that. You're welcome. Any other clarifying questions? Steve, yes.
Yeah, I know we currently have 2 parcel tax measures on that are currently approved. Doesn't this supersede the other one that's retiring?
Yes, so I believe written into the resolution would be that it would begin July of 2024.
Yes, if passed, it will start on July 1, 2020. Yes. Any other clarifying questions? Charlie, no? I don't have any clarifying questions. We do have some requests for public comment. We have 4. We can set a timer for 3 minutes. Eric, once we start, we have Robin Abrams, Stella Cam, Danielle James, and Pepe Yu. So Robin, and you talk to these owls. There's no actual microphone anymore.
Sure, thanks. Good evening. My name is Robin Abrams, and I'm representing CACF, and I am a member of CACF. Citizens Advisory Committee on Finance was created under LASD's very first parcel tax over 25 years ago. In fact, as many of you know, it was the first citizens organization of its kind in California. Our role is pretty simple. We provide an annual report to the community, as has been referred to here this evening. We focus on a 6-year balanced budget for the district, although of course the state focuses on a 3-year balanced budget. Over the years, we have made recommendations to some of you and your predecessors in terms of the financial path to eliminate pink slips, creating a reserve policy and adhering to it, and creating a maintenance fund for capital assets. And then we also do financial projects as requested by the trustees. In the January 2023 update to the Board of Trustees, we recommended renewing the parcel tax sooner rather than later. We also shared renewal scenarios that included increasing the parcel tax at an amount equal to inflation. And as a reminder, and this is really to the community, all parcel tax proceeds stay here in our local schools. CACF's view is that LASD has proven to be a good steward of past voter approved funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. All right, moving on, Stella.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stella Cam, and I'm here on behalf of Keep Los Altos Schools Strong. We wholeheartedly support the proposed parcel tax renewal for numerous reasons, not least of which is to avoid district-wide budget cuts. A portion of the current parcel tax is set to expire in 2025 unless voters approve its renewal. Failure to renew would create a funding gap of almost $3 million annually, resulting in deep cuts for academic programs and potential teacher layoffs. My daughter Violet will be entering first grade at Covington next week, but my husband and I have resided in Los Altos since before she was born. We knew that we wanted to raise our family right here in Los Altos because of the excellent school. We valued not only the strong academics, but also the breadth of experiences that our children could have within the schools. The majority of parcel tax dollars goes toward electives and small class sizes. I would hate to see any of our valuable elective offerings, such as marching band, journalism, engineering, or foreign languages, get cut as the result of a parcel tax expiration. I've also heard many LASD parents, some who've come before the board, to talk about how much they value small class size. In order to keep classes small, there needs to be enough funding to pay for the extra teachers. The loss of parcel tax dollars would force the district into the difficult position of considering teacher layoffs rather than hiring additional teachers. For these reasons and more, I urge the board to approve the resolution that calls for an election to renew the parcel tax. And I hope that the voters feel as strongly as I do about keeping Los Altos schools strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. Moving on to Danielle.
Hello, my name is Danielle James, and until recently I was a parent in LASD schools, but my youngest has now aged out. And I want to take just a moment to say thank you very much to the Los Altos School District for all the great provision of education and support through the pandemic. But it was just a social trauma. And but my family felt very supported in LASD schools, and we especially appreciate the support from Oak Block. Regarding the parcel tax, I want the district to have the funds it needs to continue the excellent education in Los Altos. And thanks for letting us know what you need. I support the district's plan to place a parcel tax on the ballot so that we can maintain the excellent education in Los Altos and also the small neighborhood schools, which are so important for community in Los Altos. Los Altos has a different feel than other places. I hope that all members of our community, whether they have kids in LASD schools or not, will support the district and the parcel tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Moving on to PayPay.
Hi, my name is Pipa Yu, and I have a rising 5th and 7th grader who have been in LASD since kindergarten. I know from firsthand experience, LASD has provided top quality education for my kids, and I'm here to say I support renewing the parcel tax that will expire in 2025. I believe that protecting the nearly $3 million of funding will keep LASD a top tier school district. Our local elementary and junior high schools consistently rank in the top 1% in California, in large part thanks to this parcel tax, the dedicated and locally controlled funding that can't be taken by the state. And I see LASD's top quality education every year in my children's experiences. I see it in the high quality and engaged teachers my kids have in homeroom, that they have in all the many enrichment programs LASD offers. I see the high quality education in the strong core programs, and I see it in additional STEM, art, music, physical education, and athletic programs. And I want to see the district continue to provide all of these programming. Additionally, I think we need to renew the parcel tax so that we can provide high quality programs, not only in current, but also recently added programs like Universal TK and Universal Meals program mandated by the state. We need to renew this expiring funding source that has directly benefited our local schools and the students who attend them for the past 30 years. And my family and I strongly support this funding source. Thanks.
Thank you, Pepe. All right. Once we have had the public comment, we can close the public hearing portion of this. Our little speed roll, closing the public hearing. Back to normal board meeting. Any board comment? Vladimir, Brian, Shelley, Steve, I definitely had a comment. Nothing extra add, okay. So I have some comments. I have, you know, along this whole process of us going through this parcel tax and making sure we heard from different parts of our community. I have also received some feedback from Lewis Charter School. So I have some comments and actually some suggestions of changes to the resolution that I'd like to put in order to make sure we're, you know, hearing the feedback and doing the best we can on short notice. We have to get this approved tonight in order to get the county superintendent to sign it tomorrow and then get it to the registrar. So our timeline is short. That being said, I'm suggesting that in B1 of exhibit B, page 2, B1, that in that last sentence, we have BCS's share of the annual proceeds shall not exceed $625,000 in any tax year. I want to add, I guess, comma, unless as a result of an agreement between BCS and the LASD board. I missed another edit to that also. So at the beginning of, I guess it is the first sentence, where it says proceeds from the levy of this qualified special tax based upon BCS's in-district average daily attendance, ADA, and the, I want to insert in-district there, and then it goes on to say ADA of the students enrolled in district school. What that does is their in-district is compared to our in-district students, not just the total of our students, but in-district to in-district. So I would like to add that little nit there really, and then the unless as the result of an agreement between BCS and the board at the end of that clause. So any comments on that? Any of the four of you?
So I'm prepared to make a motion to support both of those changes.
Okay.
The 625, the way it's written right now, is a maximum limit.
Yeah.
But there are possibly circumstances where we might want to change that.
Yeah.
And if we come to an agreement with BCS on that and the other things, we might want to increase that limit. And so that's why you're suggesting that.
Yes.
And in district versus in district, I think that's a nit.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference. Effectively, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to make a motion to support the changes that you outlined there.
Any other comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I want to, I think, explain a little bit how I think about the fact there is a cap. I mean, I assume that BCS is objecting because in the 2016 parcel tax, and there was no cap. It was just calculated as a percentage of their enrollment based on ours. It's first of all, I want to say I'm a little disappointed that they weren't paying attention the last couple of months. As Sandra noted, we've been talking about this for quite a while. And I believe in 2016, they were actually fairly proactive about talking to us about how this worked going forward. So
yeah,
it's a little disappointing. I think it's a little bit telling about how little they pay attention to how things are going in the district and what our situation is.
We received feedback today.
So the way I think about sort of why there would be a cap is a lot of things have changed since 2016, let alone 2011. BCS's enrollment has grown more than I think the board at the time hoped it would. I think it was seen, I was not on the board in 2016. I was just elected same time the renewal was passed. But from what I remember watching board meetings at that time, there was a hope that collaborating on the parcel tax would be a first step towards a more productive collaboration around some of the other issues that have troubled this relationship over the years. And unfortunately, those further collaborations did not come to pass. Instead, BCS continued to grow past what I think any of us currently on the board would deem reasonable. And as a result of the enrollment declines that we've been talking about in other items, the percentage of the parcel tax that BCS gets has increased from, I believe, 15% to over 20%. And we've discovered over those 6 or 7 years that, you know, unsurprisingly, the fixed costs in running 9 schools are a lot higher than the fixed costs in running 1. And so that split is just becoming unsustainable. In addition to that, as Eric alluded to, just in the last 3 years, we've gotten mandates from the state of universal lunch, which costs us $1 million a year that we get no money for. We have TK mandates that we get no money for, that BCS does get money from the state for. And the COLA adjustments that BCS gets, as Eric mentioned, are costing us an extra $1 million in transfers this year. As he said many times, and as Randy said before him, we generally don't get COLA increases in our funding. BCS, as sort of funded by us, but based on state calculations, does get those COLAs. We are designing this parcel tax to include sort of cost of living adjustments because, as to nobody's surprise, inflation has been quite a topic of discussion over the last few years, and we need to try to take that into account going forward and make sure that this parcel tax generates enough money over the years to pay for all these things. So those things together are why, in my mind, it became necessary for us to sort of adjust the transfer. I think doing it as a cap based, I believe, on roughly what they're now getting made sense to me. Nobody likes a fiscal cliff. We didn't want to impose a fiscal cliff on BCS. So we were trying to come to an accommodation where they could count on the money they have been getting, but that some of the burden that has accumulated as situations changed over the last few years would be eased on us. All of that said, I think the relationship between us and BCS is complicated. There are a lot of moving parts. I could see agreements that I frankly hope might be struck that would ease some of that burden on us. And if that were to come to pass, then I think I would be willing to have part of that agreement be an increased transfer of the parcel tax to some larger percentage than is envisioned in the 665. So I'm sorry that was so long-winded, but I wanted to sort of give some context for those watching and explain why I'd be in favor of this change.
Shally?
Yeah, I just, a point of clarification. So we are sharing this parcel tax with BCS as we did the last one. But who is paying to put this measure on the ballot?
We are paying it's coming out of our general fund to pay the county to put this on the ballot.
How much is that?
100%.
100% of that, and we believe it's going to be around $800,000 to do that. And it is borne solely by the Los Altos School District.
So if BCS were to pay their proportionate share of the cost of putting it on the ballot, that'd be about $200,000.
It'd be 192.
192,000. Okay,
Yes.
all right. Stand corrected. I sit corrected.
Yes. Any other? You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Steve, do you have anything? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution with the changes I have suggested?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Brian?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Shally?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I say yes, so that it passes 5-0. So we're putting a parcel tax on the ballot.
Yes, for great things.
For great things. I'm
Great
excited.
things.
All right, so we move on to H5, transfer of development rights agreement with Malone Dyer.
Yes, in March of 2021, the board approved a TDR purchase sale agreement with Malone Dyer as part of the 10-site TDR program. That agreement expired last spring, and district legal counsel has been negotiating with Malone Dyer to renew the agreement. The agreement would be renewed at the same value, and we're asking the board to approve another agreement with Malone Dyer to continue the same terms as previously stated, and that was approved by the board in 2021. It's an action item. We're asking to approve the revised TDR agreement with Malone Guyer.
All right, do I have any clarifying questions from the board? Do I have any public comment? No. All right, board comment on this.
It's about time.
And it's just we're just renewing an agreement we already had in place. So just for clarification for anybody following at home, can I get a motion to approve this transfer of development rights agreement with Malone Guyer?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Brian,
Yes.
Vladimir,
Yes.
Shally,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and I vote yes, passes 5-0. Moving on to contract amendment with Peter Ingram Consulting.
Sure, Peter Ingram Consulting has been helping the district with the TDR program, with negotiations with the city of Mountain View, the joint use agreement for the 10 site. He's been with this since 2016. At that time, his rates were $185 an hour. He bills us only when he's actually performing services for the district. He's asking for a very modest increase. Over the last 7 years, they've only to raise his fees to $200 an hour. So staff felt that it was very reasonable to ask for this in light of the inflation that we've had over the last several years. So tonight, this is an action item to ratify the agreement with Peter Ingram Consulting for a revised agreement.
All right, do I have any clarifying questions? Any public comment? No. All right, do I have any board comment? All right, can I get a motion to approve the contract amendment with Peter Ingram Consulting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Brian,
Yes.
Vladimir,
Yes.
Shally,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and I vote yes, passes 5-0. On to the appointment to Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
Sure. As you know, when Measure N was passed, part of a Prop 39 general obligation bond is that there must be a bond oversight committee to make sure all expenditures that are spent according to the bond language. This committee has been in place since Measure N was passed. Over the years, we've had members come and go, and unfortunately, we had 3 members that served several years for us have moved on. And so tonight we're asking to appoint Lee Zhang to the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. She has a great background in tax background. She's a parent, former parent as well, lives in the community, very excited to be part of the Bond Oversight Committee. And so we're asking the board to appoint Lee Zhang to the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
All right, any clarifying questions? Any public comment? No. Any board comment?
Yeah, I was pleased to see that she had a lot of tax experience.
Right.
But that's really pretty key.
Yeah, no, that is, it's good to see have financial experience in general on these audit type of committees. So can I get a motion to approve the appointment of Lee Zhang to the Citizen Bond Oversight Committee?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Brian,
Yes.
Vladimir,
Yes.
Shally,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and I vote yes, passes 5-0. Moving on to resolution 23-2402, requesting that Santa Clara County establish the district's tax year 23-24 general obligation bond tax levy at the requested levy of $19.50 per 100,000 of assessed value.
Sure. The county assessor's office was requesting a resolution to be passed by our board to set our tax rates. This is done every single year. Last year, the county set our tax rate at $19.50. We are allowed a maximum tax rate of $30 per 100,000 of assessed value based on Prop 39 bonds. We believe a stable tax rate is good for our community. It's fair and reasonable. We also feel that it will save the taxpayers it's just like a credit card payment. If you make a larger payment and you pay off your tax obligation sooner, which will actually save our taxpayers money in the long run. So the rate will be the exact same as it was the previous year. Last year's rate on your tax bill will say $19.50 per 100,000 assessed value. So we're asking the board tonight to approve this resolution 23-24-02 with that rate.
All right, any clarifying questions? Any public comment? There is none. Any board comment? No, all right. Can I get a motion to approve resolution 2324-02 requesting the Santa Clara County, California establish the district's tax year, can you make these shorter? Tax year 2023-24 general obligation bond tax levy at the requested levy of $19.50 per 100,000 of assessed value. No.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Brian?
Yeah.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I vote yes, passes 5-0. Moving on to resolution 2324, authorizing applying for California Schools Healthy Air Plumbing and Efficiency CalShape Program grant. Eric?
Yes, the California Energy Commission are very fortunate to have some funding that's being made available from the utilities. And part of the taxes that you pay on your utility bill every time you pay your utilities, part of that money goes to help fund this program. The district is potentially eligible for about $1 million. We can use that money for to look at our HVAC, ventilation systems, plumbing. If the board passes this resolution, we can apply for the grant. Doesn't mean we're going to get the grant, but we can now get in line to actually apply for it. And then the next item on there is kind of why we need to do this. But part of the resolution, we feel like it's a great way to do some look at our facilities, look at what is a true condition of our HVAC systems and our plumbing fixtures. This will have an assessment done, and if we get the grant, the Energy Commission would give us half the money up front, and then you will get the other half of the money once you can show that all the measures have been met. So it's a lot of school districts are applying for this, and we're very low on the order. Many low performing and low income students were first in line in the level of funding. There's different levels, and this is round 5. And so we're applying for the very last couple rounds to get into this program. And we're hoping we can apply and at least get some funding for the district.
All right, any clarifying questions? Any public comment? See any board comments? I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer. We would love you to apply for money for our school district to do things that we absolutely need to do. So I'm all for it. Can I get a motion to approve resolution 2324-03 authorizing applying for California Schools Healthy Air Plumbing and Efficiency CalShape Program grant?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Brian?
Yeah.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I vote yes, passes 5-0. Moving on to board policy update AR 3311.3 design build contracts.
Yeah, and this item is somewhat related to the CalShape program. Because the CalShape award is over $1 million, the district needs to update our design build contract because it's just slightly over, and that we will do an RFP, request for qualifications, request for proposals to firms that actually can perform this work for us. And by having this resolution done, which is approved, thank you, and then having the design build contract updated, we'll be able to do an RFP for this program. And also will help us for future construction work and any other future projects. So if we decide to for future construction projects, if we want to do prefabrication or some sort of design build contracts, our board policy will be updated.
All right, any clarifying questions?
Well, we took it.
Okay, all right. Any public comment? Doesn't seem like it. All right, board comments. Vladimir.
Yeah, I had 2 comments on this. The first one is in paragraph 3. It says a conflict of interest as understood within this regulation. I don't think the conflict of interest was ever defined anywhere in the resolution here. And I think there ought to be a mention of Government Code 1090, I believe, which is the conflict of interest code. So I would just suggest that. But more substantial, I think, is paragraph 4. It seems to me that either there's some missing text at the very end, or the phrasing is not quite right, because there doesn't seem to be a verb in that sentence.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now too.
Do we need this one tonight?
Yeah, do we need it tonight?
No, we can ask legal counsel to review it
Yeah,
and bring it back on the 21st.
okay.
Yeah,
That
okay.
can we table this one?
I mean, I think unless anybody else has any comments,
Yeah.
I'd be fine bringing it back. And
As long as we're not under the gun on that.
No, we can do that.
All right, yes, that would be great. So let's table this one so we can, is there any other,
No.
on that? All right, any, I don't see Zoom right now. Any, Shally or Steve, do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, all right. Moving on to more resolutions.
Lots of resolutions tonight.
And so the authorizing absence for religious exercises or instruction.
Yes, so the state recently changed and added on an additional excused absence for religious exercises or instruction, but we can only use that as a district if you pass a resolution.
All right.
So that is a new option for families from the state.
All right. Any clarifying questions from the board?
I'm assuming this is straight out of whatever statute.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Can I have my comment to my question?
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, I find it annoyingly, but typically micromanaging of the state to specify that you're only excused if your religious observance lasts for 240 minutes. I trust we will not enforce that too punctiliously.
I can't imagine that anybody wants to enforce that.
But you didn't say that out loud.
I had a similar sort of take on that.
Yeah.
I could read it a couple of times to figure out exactly what it meant.
Yeah, as did I. Any other board clarification or comment? And I don't see any public comment on that. Can I get a motion to approve resolution 2324-04 authorizing absence for religious exercises or instruction?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Brian?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Shally?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
All right.
It sounds as if C has nearly expired.
That's so much earlier.
Is and I vote yes, so it passes 5-0. Moving on to board and administration comments. Carrie. No comments. All right. Eric, we haven't heard enough from you tonight. So.
Thank you.
Sandra.
I have a couple. Wanted to let you know we had a great leadership retreat last week. So we're welcoming in our two new principals, Nikita and Kevin. Carrie and team planned a really great day of learning for us and connecting for us. And we used the community center, which was really great. We're excited about our team and our focus for the year, which I'm sure you'll hear more about at our next meeting. Also wanted to let you know, and perhaps you're going to put this on your docket too, Jessica, that you and I attended the SCOE board meeting, the Santa Clara County Board of Education meeting last Wednesday. I did give public comment around a resolution that they were looking at passing last week around reaffirming the 2021 notice of concern to Willis Charter School. So was able to give public comment there. It was a very long meeting. Public comment began at 11:37 p.m. It was a long night. Today we have a group of teachers, actually today through Thursday, we have a variety of our teachers coming in for trainings. So over at Egan we're grateful hosting teachers. Today was our 6-8 science adoption training for new curriculum training for science teachers. We had our 3-5 teachers there to talk about the LASD learning experience and a new social and emotional curriculum that we'll be using this year. Tomorrow we have another group. We will be seeing all of our teachers if they are able to come in over the next 4 days for one or more sessions, which is really great. And I'm always appreciative that our folks are willing to take time. This is still their summer break for another week. So we're very appreciative that they choose to come and learn with their peers and their colleagues. It was a really fantastic day today. And then lastly, on Friday or Thursday, I'm meeting with, there's a new executive director for Mentor Tutor Connection. Carol Olson left at the end of last year, and so Jean Ikeda is coming on board, so I'll be meeting with her and Christy Fulhaven on Thursday, because we value that relationship with Mentor Tutor Connection. That's it for me.
All right, Vladimir?
One quick comment, the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors had a budget hearing, and the packet was 4,000 pages long. So you got off easy. That's all. The other thing is, next board meeting, which is on the 21st, I believe.
Yeah.
I will be climbing in Yosemite.
Oh.
I will try to be back in time for the meeting, but
Don't push yourself, dude.
what?
Sorry.
But if I don't make it back and you don't get a telephone call or something or email or anything like that, no. It's just that I'm still out there climbing. It's 6 o'clock. It's still light.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore, but I mean
A little less.
Yeah.
So progress.
I will try to make the meeting.
Okay.
But otherwise I may not.
Okay, thanks for the heads up. Brian?
I attended the new teacher luncheon on Wednesday, which was great. It's always I try to do it every year. It's always great to see all the new faces and enthusiasm, especially 2 new principals this year. So that was fun. On Thursday evening, I'm actually going to a symposium down the county somewhere about a regional housing bond that is in contemplation. I don't know a lot of details, but hopefully I'll come back on the 21st with a few more details if it's relevant to educator housing, which is always a topic.
Yep. Shally?
The only thing I was gonna mention is that I too am attending the Regional Housing Bond Symposium. The county is going to give an update on how they've spent or will plan to spend their Measure A funds. I know that there's some talk of having a countywide bond as opposed to a regional bond. So I'll take lots of good notes. It should be interesting because I know that Santa Clara County School Boards Association is having a housing symposium later in September. I think the focus of these 2 symposia are slightly different. So it might be worthwhile to attend both. That's it.
Steve, you got anything?
The only thing I was going to bring up is we all got an email from the Mountain View City Council about the wine and cheese thing they're doing in September. And
yes.
I suggested maybe we would do volunteer as a group to kind of show up, since we are educating 25% of their students. It'd be good maybe to start getting some more visibility, especially as we're going in for this tax measure. So just something I wanted to throw out and get people thinking about.
Yeah, I can send that link to our team. Just nice to support a city that has also been working really well with us. So I agree with that. I was at the new teacher thing, so was Steve, and that was amazing. It's amazing how those teachers get younger each year. Apparently, or I'm getting older. I may be getting older, maybe both. But I did appreciate the youthfulness and just the energy in general. I was with Sandra waiting for public comment at the SCCDOE. I was going to mention, as Shally did, that the SCCOE is putting together a whole symposium on teacher or educator housing on September 21st. We've all received an invitation to that. I highly recommend you go. The Santa Clara County School Boards Association is co-sponsoring that. We're all very interested in that. I am sure I did a lot of other things, but I was a little too focused on other things today related to this board meeting that I didn't write down my list. So I don't have nothing else. So board meeting is adjourned.